In the spring of 1822, everyone at the Devonshire ball knew two things. Naomi Greenwood had been publicly humiliated 2 years ago and had disappeared from society, and the Duke of Ravenscross had secretly married someone, but no one knew who. What they didn't know? Those two facts were connected. When Naomi entered on the Duke's arm, wearing the Ravenscross emerald's jewels that hadn't been seen in public for 20 years, whispers erupted. Who is she? Wait, is that? It can't be. Aaron Hall stood across the ballroom, smirking, preparing his usual cutting remarks for the girl who'd once thought herself good enough for him. He approached, sneered, said the words that had once destroyed her. Still single, Miss Greenwood? I thought you'd have given up on balls by now. The ballroom held its breath, because everyone saw what Aaron didn't. The Duke's hand tightening on her waist. The way his expression went from cold to lethal. The moment he stepped forward with the controlled fury of a man whose wife had just been insulted. You will address my wife by her proper title, Your Grace or Duchess. Choose whichever doesn't strain your limited intellect. Aaron's face drained of color, because in that moment he realized the girl he'd rejected was now the woman who outranked him. The nobody he'd dismissed had become one of the most powerful women in England. And the man protecting her? He was the last person in society you wanted as an enemy. Aaron Hall had destroyed Naomi once. The Duke of Ravenscross was about to return the favor publicly, brutally, and permanently. Before we continue, if you want to know how a publicly humiliated woman became a secret duchess, how England's coldest duke became her fiercest defender, and what happened when her cruel ex realized who she'd married, smash that subscribe button and turn on all notifications, because this Regency revenge romance will leave you breathless. Naomi Greenwood had learned to make herself small. Not physically, though. She'd never been the beauty that turned heads at balls. But emotionally, socially, she'd learned to expect less, hope for less, deserve less. Because 2 years ago, London society had taught her exactly what she was worth. Nothing. The memory still burned. The Wessex ball. Lord Aaron Hall leading her onto the terrace for what she'd thought would be a proposal. Instead, I'm announcing my engagement tonight. To Lady Helena Whitmore. But Aaron, you said. I said many things. Surely you didn't take them seriously? Miss Greenwood, you're delightful company, but a man in my position requires certain advantages. I'm sure you understand. She'd stood there, frozen, while he'd walked back inside and announced his engagement to the entire ballroom, while people turned to stare at her with pity, while whispers spread like wildfire. Poor dear, she actually thought. Not enough dowry, obviously. What did she expect? She's barely gentry. Naomi had left that night and barely left her family's small estate for a year. Her mother worried. Her sister Beatrice raged on her behalf. Her father quietly paid down debts and avoided eye contact. The Greenwoods were respectable but not wealthy. Educated but not influential. Kind but not important. And Naomi had learned that in London society, kindness meant nothing without a fortune to back it. So when the letter arrived, heavy cream paper, ducal seal, impossible elegance. Naomi assumed it was a mistake. Miss Greenwood, I am in need of a wife, not for affection, but for practical partnership. You have been recommended as intelligent, capable, and discreet. I propose a marriage of mutual respect and separate interests. You would want for nothing materially and owe me nothing emotionally. If this arrangement interests you, reply within the week. Jordan Hooper, Duke of Ravenscross. No romance. No pretense. Just business. Naomi should have been offended. Instead, she felt relieved, because a practical arrangement couldn't break her heart. Respect couldn't humiliate her. And a duke who wanted nothing emotional couldn't make her believe in love again. She wrote back the same day. I accept. The wedding was private. A small chapel on the Ravenscross estate. No guests beyond family. No announcements to the ton. Just vows, signatures, and the quiet understanding that this was business, not romance. Jordan Hooper was exactly as cold as his reputation promised. Tall, handsome in a severe way. Eyes that assessed everything and revealed nothing. He spoke only when necessary. Smiled never, and treated their wedding breakfast like a contract signing. You'll have your own quarters, he said over tea. Full access to household accounts. Freedom to pursue charitable interests. I require your presence at certain social events. Otherwise, your time is your own. And you? Naomi asked. What do you require from this marriage? Discretion. Competence. No emotional entanglements. Can you provide those things? Yes. Then we have an understanding. They shook hands. Like business partners. And Naomi told herself the hollow feeling in her chest was relief, not disappointment. For 3 months, they lived separate lives in the same massive estate. Jordan worked, managed his holdings, met with politicians and businessmen, disappeared for days to London or his other properties. Naomi organized the household, modernized estate management, started charitable programs in the nearby villages, discovered she was actually brilliant at running a duchy. They saw each other at dinner when Jordan was home. Conversations were polite, distant, respectful. The harvest projections look strong, he'd say. Yes, I've arranged for surplus distribution to the tenants, she'd reply. Efficient. And that would be the extent of their interaction. It was exactly what she'd agreed to. So why did it feel so lonely? Then came the Dowager Duchess. Jordan's mother, Eleanor, arrived unannounced and immediately embraced Naomi like a daughter. Finally, a daughter-in-law with sense. Do you know how long I've waited for Jordan to marry someone with an actual brain? Your Grace. Eleanor, please. We're family now. She studied Naomi with shrewd, kind eyes. He told you this would be a business arrangement, didn't he? Yes. My son is an idiot. Brilliant with money, terrible with people. Give him time. Time for what? To realize what he's found. Men like Jordan, they armor themselves so thoroughly they forget what warmth feels like. But you, Eleanor squeezed her hand. You have warmth to spare. He'll thaw. Eventually. Naomi wanted to believe that. But she'd learned the danger of hope. The announcement came in September. The Devonshire ball. Jordan said at dinner, I've been avoiding society events, but my absence is causing political complications. We'll attend. Together. As Duke and Duchess. Naomi's stomach dropped. Together? Yes. It's time London learned I'm married. I thought we were keeping this private. We were. Now it's become necessary to make it public. He studied her carefully. Will that be a problem? Every instinct screamed yes. Because London society had destroyed her once. Because Aaron Hall would be there. Because she'd have to face the people who'd watched her humiliation. But she was a duchess now. She had armor of her own. No problem, she said. When do we leave? Quick question. If you had the chance to face everyone who humiliated you, but this time with a powerful husband and a ducal title, would you take it? Comment yes or no. And if you're already invested in Naomi's revenge, hit that subscribe button because what happens next is iconic. The dress was emerald silk, cut to perfection. Scandalously elegant. The Ravencross emeralds glittered at her throat, jewels worth more than Aaron Hall's entire estate. Naomi looked in the mirror and barely recognized herself. You're stunning, Beatrice breathed. Her sister had traveled to London for the event. Absolutely stunning. Aaron Hall is going to choke on his own tongue. This isn't about Aaron. The hell it isn't. You're about to walk into that ballroom as a duchess. Do you know how rare duchess titles are? You outrank almost everyone there now. I'm still me, B. No. You're better. Because now everyone else will see what I've always seen, that you were never the problem. They were. Jordan appeared in the doorway, devastatingly handsome in formal blacks. For a moment, something flickered in his expression, surprise, appreciation, but it vanished quickly. Ready? He asked. Yes. He offered his arm. Not warmly, just formally. Business. But his grip was steady. And somehow, that helped. The Devonshire ball was exactly as Naomi remembered, glittering, overwhelming, full of people who'd once pitied her. The announcement of their arrival silenced the room. His Grace, the Duke of Ravencross, and Her Grace, the Duchess of Ravencross. Every head turned. Whispers erupted like wildfire. Ravencross is married? Who is she? Wait, is that Naomi Greenwood? It can't be. The girl Aaron Hall rejected? She's a duchess now? Jordan guided her down the stairs with absolute confidence. His face revealed nothing, but his hand on hers was possessive, protective, unmistakable. They reached the ballroom floor and the crowd parted like the Red Sea. Lady Vivian Sterling rushed over immediately. "Your Grace, we had no idea." "When did this happen?" 3 months ago, Jordan said coolly. "Private ceremony. Family only. But why keep it secret?" "Because my private life is private. Now, if you'll excuse us." He swept Naomi onto the dance floor before anyone else could interrogate them. "You handled that well," she said quietly as they waltzed. "I don't explain myself to gossips. Neither should you. I'm not used to this. The attention. The questions. You'll adapt. You're far more resilient than you give yourself credit for." It was the kindest thing he'd ever said to her. They made it through 2 dances before disaster struck. Lord Aaron Hall approached Lady Helena on his arm, smirk already forming. "Miss Greenwood, what a surprise seeing you here. I thought you'd given up on society events." He stopped. Notice the emeralds. The dress. The way Jordan's hand rested on her waist. "I'm sorry, are you chaperoning someone?" Naomi's mouth went dry. But before she could respond, Jordan spoke, voice like ice and steel. "You will address my wife by her proper title. Your Grace, or Duchess. Choose whichever doesn't strain your limited intellect." The ballroom went silent. Aaron's face drained of color. "Your wife? You married her?" "I married the most intelligent, capable woman in England, who also happens to be standing directly in front of you, though you apparently lack the sense to recognize quality when it's presented. But she's nobody, no fortune, no connections. She is my Duchess." Jordan's voice could have frozen hell. "She outranks you. She outranks your wife. She outranks nearly everyone in this room. And you, Lord Hall, just committed the social suicide of insulting a woman under ducal protection." People were staring. Some looked horrified, others delighted by the drama. Aaron stammered. "I didn't mean I was merely surprised. You were merely rude. To a woman who deserves far better than your pathetic attempt at civility. Now, if you'll excuse us, I prefer company with manners." Jordan led Naomi away, leaving Aaron gaping like a fish. "Okay, but can we talk about that? The Duke just absolutely destroyed Aaron in front of everyone. If you're screaming internally right now, hit that like button and subscribe because their story gets even better from here." They escaped to the terrace. Naomi was shaking. "I'm sorry," Jordan said, voice gentler now. "I should have been more diplomatic. Don't apologize." "That was..." Naomi laughed, surprising herself. "That was magnificent. He deserved worse. You defended me. No one's ever defended me like that." Jordan looked at her properly, really looked for the first time since their wedding. "Then they were all fools. You're not nobody. Naomi, you never were. You're brilliant, kind, far too good for the people who judged you by your dowry size. Why did you marry me? Really? There must have been other women. I married you because my mother said you were intelligent and honest. Because my investigator's report showed you reorganized your family's failing estate and made it profitable. Because you didn't simper or perform when we met. You asked practical questions and gave honest answers." He stepped closer. "I married you because I respected you. And respect, I'm learning, is far more valuable than affection." What if they could be the same thing? What? Respect and affection. What if a marriage could have both? Jordan was quiet for a long moment. "Is that what you want?" "I don't know. I stopped wanting things 2 years ago. It was safer. And now? Now I'm standing on a terrace with a duke who just eviscerated my cruel ex in front of all London. So maybe I'm starting to want things again." Something shifted in Jordan's expression. Not quite a smile, but close. "We should return inside, before the gossips invent wilder stories than the truth." "What is the truth?" "That I married a remarkable woman. And I'm only just beginning to realize how remarkable." He offered his arm. And this time, when Naomi took it, it felt less like business and more like partnership. The aftermath of the Devonshire ball was spectacular. Lady Vivian spread the story through every drawing room in London. By morning, everyone knew Naomi Greenwood, the girl Aaron Hall had rejected, was now the Duchess of Ravencross, one of the most powerful women in England. The ton was divided between those who'd always liked Naomi and were thrilled by her elevation, and those who'd pitied her and now scrambled to revise their opinions. Aaron Hall became a laughingstock. The man who'd rejected a future duchess for a wealthy wife now looked like the fool he'd always been. Karma, Beatrice noted with satisfaction, was beautiful to watch. Back at Ravencross House, something changed. Jordan didn't retreat to his study immediately after breakfast. He lingered, asked about Naomi's plans, suggested they review estate business together. "You've implemented impressive changes," he said, studying her reorganization plans. "The tenant profit-sharing program is innovative. Happy tenants work harder. It's logical. It's compassionate. There's a difference." He looked at her differently now, not just as a duchess, as a person. And Naomi found herself looking back. Dinners became longer. They discussed books. Turned out they had similar taste. Politics, she was far more informed than most lords. Philosophy, she challenged his assumptions. He challenged hers. "You're enjoying this," she observed one evening. "Enjoying what?" "Talking to me. Actually talking, not just estate business." Jordan set down his wine glass. "I am." "Is that surprising? You married me for practicality, not conversation." "I married you for many reasons. Conversation is becoming my favorite." "Why?" "Because you're interesting. Most people bore me. You don't." It was the most romantic thing anyone had ever said to her. And it came from a marriage of convenience. The Dowager Duchess visited frequently, clearly delighted by the shift. "He's softening," Eleanor told Naomi over tea. "I haven't seen him this engaged in years. He's just being polite." "My dear, Jordan doesn't do polite. He does efficient. If he's spending time with you, it's because he wants to, not because he has to." "What happened to him? Why is he so guarded?" Eleanor's expression grew sad. "His father died when Jordan was 19. Suddenly, massively. Jordan inherited the duchy before he was ready. Spent years proving himself to men who thought him too young, too inexperienced. He learned to armor himself, to never show weakness." "That sounds exhausting." "It is. But you make him. Remember, there's more to life than duty. That's a gift, Naomi. I'm not trying to change him. You don't have to try. Just by being yourself, kind, honest, real, you're showing him what he's been missing." One afternoon, Naomi was working in the estate office, dusty from inspecting the old storage buildings, dressed decidedly un-duchess-like. Jordan walked in, stopped, stared. "What happened to you?" "I was checking the grain stores. There's a leak in the west building that needs." "Why are you looking at me like that?" He was almost smiling. "You have cobwebs in your hair." "Oh God." Naomi tried to brush them out. "No, leave them. It's..." He laughed. Actually laughed. "It's charming. Most duchesses wouldn't be caught dead looking so human." "I'm not most duchesses." "No, you're not." He crossed the room, gently removed the cobweb from her hair. His fingers lingered near her face. "Naomi." "Yes? I care for you. Deeply. I didn't expect to. Didn't want to. But I do. And I'd like, if you're willing, I'd like our marriage to be more than an arrangement." Naomi's heart hammered. "More how?" "More real. More us. More everything." "Are you asking what I think you're asking?" "I'm asking if you'd consider allowing this practical marriage to become a genuine partnership. One with affection. And perhaps, eventually, love." Naomi touched his face. "I already care for you. I have for weeks. I just didn't think you felt the same. I'm terrible at expressing feelings. But I feel them. For you. Constantly." "Then yes, to all of it, to us." He kissed her finally, properly, with all the emotion he usually kept locked away. And for the first time since their wedding, the marriage of convenience became something real. Over the next months, everything changed. Jordan and Naomi became inseparable. Not just in appearance, but in truth. They worked together, laughed together, built their life together. The ton noticed. "Have you seen Ravencross lately?" Lady Vivian gossiped. He actually smiles now. In public. It's unnerving. The Duchess has civilized him, someone replied. Or he's finally happy. They were both right. Jordan became openly affectionate, a shocking transformation for England's coldest duke. He held Naomi's hand at social events, danced with her multiple times per ball, publicly defended her against any hint of criticism. "You've changed him," Lord William Ashford told Naomi at a dinner party. "I've known Jordan 20 years. Never seen him like this." Like what? Human, happy, in love. He's always been human. Not publicly, not like this. You've given him permission to be more than the cold duke everyone expected. I didn't do anything special. You loved him. That's the most special thing anyone's done for him. Their personal life grew intimate and passionate. Jordan was attentive, generous, deeply devoted. Everything Naomi had stopped believing she deserved. "I love you," he told her one night, voice raw with emotion. "I don't say it enough, but I do. Completely. I love you too, even when you're being impossibly arrogant, especially when I'm being impossibly arrogant. That too." They laughed, tangled together, happy in ways neither had imagined possible. Then came the announcement that changed everything. "I'm with child," Naomi told Jordan over breakfast. He dropped his teacup. Literally dropped it. China shattered everywhere. We're having a baby." Jordan swept her into his arms, laughing, crying, overwhelmed. "This is Naomi. This is everything. You're everything. You're going to be a father. I'm going to be the most annoyingly devoted father in England. I wouldn't expect anything less." Pregnancy made Jordan even more protective. He monitored Naomi's health obsessively, hired the best physicians, insisted she rest constantly. "Jordan, I'm pregnant, not dying. I'm aware, but I'm not taking risks. I need to finish the charity accounts. The accounts can wait. You need rest. You're impossible. And you love me anyway." "Unfortunately, yes." He kissed her forehead. "When our daughter is born." "Daughter? How do you know it's a girl?" "Because only a daughter could be as stubborn and brilliant as her mother." Flatterer. Honest man in love. Lady Catherine Eleanor Hooper was born on a spring morning after 12 hours of labor that terrified Jordan more than any business negotiation ever had. "I can't do this," Naomi gasped. "Yes, you can. You're the strongest person I know." "Jordan, I love you. You're magnificent. And you're about to meet our daughter." When Catherine finally arrived, perfect, healthy, screaming with impressive volume, Jordan actually cried. "She's beautiful. She's perfect. He couldn't finish. "She's ours," Naomi said, exhausted and glowing. "She's ours." Fatherhood transformed Jordan completely. The cold duke became the man who sang lullabies at 2 a.m., who played ridiculous games, who brought his daughter to estate meetings because he couldn't stand being away from her. "You've gone soft," Lord William teased. "I've gone happy. There's a difference. The ton barely recognizes you anymore." "Good. Let them see that power and happiness aren't mutually exclusive." Naomi watched Jordan with Catherine, this man who'd once seemed incapable of warmth, now radiating it, and felt overwhelmed with love. "What are you thinking?" he asked, catching her watching. "That I almost let fear keep me from this. From you. From us. Thank God you didn't. Thank God you proposed. Thank God you said yes. Real talk. If your ex who humiliated you showed up at a party and you were now wealthy, powerful, and happily married with a baby, would you rub it in or take the high road? Comment which one. And subscribe because Naomi's about to make the perfect choice. The annual Ashford Ball came when Catherine was 6 months old. Naomi had debated attending new mother, exhaustion, the usual concerns, but Jordan insisted, "I want the world to see us, all three of us, our family." So they went Duke, Duchess, and baby, who charmed everyone instantly. And of course, Aaron Hall was there. He looked older, tired. His marriage to Lady Helena was notoriously cold. Two ambitious people who discovered money couldn't buy happiness. He approached while Naomi was alone near the refreshment table. "Duchess." The title sounded bitter in his mouth. "Lord Hall. I owe you an apology for how I treated you. It was unconscionable." Naomi studied him, saw the regret, the misery, the knowledge that he'd thrown away something real for something superficial. I appreciate the apology. Do you ever wonder what might have happened if I'd chosen differently? No, no, no. Because you choosing differently would mean I never married Jordan, never had Catherine, never built this life. So no, I don't wonder. I'm grateful for exactly how things unfolded. You're happy, extraordinarily. And he stopped. I made a mistake, the biggest of my life. Yes, you did, but it led me to something far better. So, thank you, I suppose, for being exactly who you were. Jordan appeared, Catherine in his arms. There you are. Our daughter was asking for her mother. Well, crying for milk, but I'm translating. I'll feed her in the private room. I've already arranged it. He noticed Aaron. Hall. Still lurking around my wife? I was just apologizing. For the past. Bit late for that. But I suppose better late than never. Jordan's arm went around Naomi. Though I should thank you, your stupidity is my gain. Jordan. What? It's true. The man was an idiot. I benefit from his idiocy. That's just facts. Aaron left without another word. You're terrible, Naomi said. But she was smiling. I'm honest. There's a difference. You're also holding our daughter wrong. How can I be holding her wrong? She's not complaining. She's drooling on your cravat. Battle scars of fatherhood. I wear them proudly. Later, watching Jordan dance with Catherine while the ton looked on with delight, Naomi realized something profound. She'd spent 2 years thinking her life was over. That happiness was impossible. That Aaron Hall's rejection defined her worth. She'd been wrong about everything. Because this family, this love, this life was worth every moment of pain that led her here. 5 years into their marriage, the Hooper Duchy had become legendary. Not just for wealth or power, though they had both, but for the genuine love between Duke and Duchess. People whispered about how Ravenscroft looked at his wife, how he defied convention to involve her in business, how they built an empire together. Partnership in the truest sense. They had 3 children now. Catherine, the spirited eldest, James, the sweet middle child, and baby Eleanor, named for her grandmother. The estate thrived under their joint management. Their charitable programs became models copied across England. Their marriage became the standard by which others were measured. You've built something remarkable, the Dowager Duchess said one afternoon, watching Naomi work while simultaneously managing 3 children. We've built something remarkable, Jordan and I, together. That's what makes it special. Partnership, mutual respect, love. Everything I didn't think I deserved. Everything you always deserved. You just needed someone with sense to recognize it. Jordan found Naomi in their garden that evening. Children finally asleep. Tired? He asked. Exhausted. Happy. Both. I have something for you. He presented a leather-bound journal. I've been writing about us, about how we started, how we grew. I want our children to know the truth someday. Naomi opened it. Read the first page. I married her for practical reasons. I fell in love with her for every other reason. This is the story of how a business arrangement became the greatest love of my life. Jordan, it's all true. Every word. You changed my life, Naomi. Changed me. Made me better. Happier. Human. I didn't do that. You did. You chose to let me in. Because you made it safe. You loved me before I deserved it. Before I even knew I wanted it. I love you still, more every day. Even when I'm impossible? Especially then. They sat together in comfortable silence, watching the sun set over their estate, their empire, their life. Do you ever regret it? Jordan asked. The practical proposal? The lack of romance? Are you joking? This is the most romantic story I know. The cold duke who learned to love. The humiliated girl who became a duchess. The business arrangement that became a legend. When you put it that way, we're basically living in a fairy tale, except real, with less singing and more baby vomit. Significantly more baby vomit. But worth it. Every moment. They kissed as the stars appeared. Duke and Duchess, partners and lovers, building something that would last generations. Final question before we finish. Would you rather have a passionate romance that burns out quickly, or a slow burn love that lasts forever? Comment your answer. And if this story gave you all the feels, subscribe because you need more love stories like this in your life. 10 years after their wedding, the Duke and Duchess of Ravenscross hosted the Ashford Ball at their estate. It was the event of the season. Everyone who was anyone attended, including, because life has a sense of humor, Lord Aaron Hall. He'd aged poorly. His marriage had ended in scandal and divorce. His fortune, badly managed, had dwindled. He was a cautionary tale now, the man who'd chosen wealth over love and ended up with neither. Naomi saw him across the ballroom and felt nothing. No anger, no triumph. Just indifference. "You're staring," Jordan murmured. "Just thinking. About how grateful I am he rejected me. Still? Always. Because it led me to you. I'd argue you led me to you. That practical proposal was the smartest business decision I ever made. Only business decision that came with a wife. Best investment return I've ever seen." Their eldest daughter Catherine, now 10 and every bit as spirited as predicted, appeared. "Papa, James won't stop teasing me about my dance partner." "Where is your brother?" "Hiding in the library. Eleanor told him you'd be cross." Jordan sighed. "I'll handle it." Though I suspect cross is an overstatement. Mildly annoyed at best. After he left, chasing their children with the same intensity he once brought to business, Naomi stood alone in the ballroom she'd once entered as a heartbroken girl. Now she stood as a duchess, a mother, a woman who'd built an empire with the man she loved. Lady Vivian approached. "Your Grace, the ball is magnificent." "Thank you. I was just telling Lady Ashford I remember when you first returned to society. After the Devonshire ball. Everyone was shocked. Were they? That you'd married Ravenscross. That you'd become a duchess. That you'd—" She stopped. "That you'd won. I didn't win anything. I just found where I belonged. With the most feared duke in England. With the man I love, who happens to be a duke. There's a difference." Later, when the guests had left and the children were asleep, Naomi and Jordan stood in the same garden where they'd had countless conversations. "This is nice," she said. "Quiet. After hosting 300 people?" "Yes. Very nice. I saw Aaron tonight. Did you?" "Briefly. He looked miserable. I felt nothing." "Good. He deserves your indifference more than your anger." "Jordan, do you remember when you proposed? How cold it was?" "I'm aware I wasn't romantic." "I'm glad. Because if you'd swept me off my feet with grand gestures and pretty words, I wouldn't have believed them. After Aaron, I couldn't trust romance. And now? Now I trust you, completely. Because you proved yourself through actions. Through partnership. Through showing up every day and choosing me. That's more romantic than any pretty words could be. I choose you every day, still, always. I know. That's why I love you." They stood together, hands intertwined, watching their estate, their home, their empire, their legacy. "We should write our story," Naomi said. "The truth of it. For our children. I started 1 year ago, remember? We should finish it. Together. What would the ending be? That two people who didn't believe in love, who started with a practical arrangement and no hope for more, built the greatest love story of their generation. That heartbreak led to happiness. That the right person was worth waiting for. That sometimes the best things in life start in the most unexpected ways. That's beautiful. That's us." 20 years later, Duchess Naomi Hooper, now in her 40s, sat in the garden where she'd spent countless hours. Her children were grown, Catherine married brilliantly, James managing the estate, Eleanor preparing for her debut season. Jordan, now in his 50s, joined her with tea. "Tired?" she asked. "Content, there's a difference. Our grandchildren are coming tomorrow. I'm aware. I've already instructed the staff to hide anything valuable." "Jordan, they're children. They're James's children. He was a terror at that age. He gets that from you." "Slander. I was a perfect child. Your mother has stories that say otherwise." They laughed, comfortable in decades of shared humor. "Do you ever look back?" Naomi asked. "At how we started?" "Every day. Best business decision I ever made." Still calling it a business decision? Habit. Fine. Best life decision. Better? Much better. Jordan pulled her close. I love you. More than the day we married. More than yesterday. More than seems possible. I love you too, even when you're impossible. Especially when I'm impossible. Especially then. They sat together as the sun set. Duke and Duchess, partners and lovers. Two people who'd found each other in the most unexpected way and built something extraordinary. Because sometimes the greatest love stories don't start with passion. Sometimes they start with practicality, grow through partnership, and become legendary through genuine connection. And sometimes the girl who was once humiliated becomes the Duchess everyone admires. Not because of her title, but because she chose herself, built her empire, and loved so deeply that it transformed everyone around her. So that's how Naomi Greenwood went from publicly humiliated to secretly married to openly adored, all because she said yes to the most practical, unromantic proposal imaginable. She was rejected by a fool, married by a duke, defended in front of all London, and built a love story that became legendary. She proved that sometimes heartbreak is actually redirection, that practical arrangements can become passionate love, and that the right person will choose you loudly, publicly, and without hesitation. This story proves that your worth isn't determined by who rejects you. That cold people just need the right person to help them thaw. That business arrangements can become beautiful love stories. That revenge is best served by simply becoming so happy that your ex becomes irrelevant. If you could go back in time and tell your younger self one thing about love, what would it be? Share in the comments. And if you love this Regency romance about redemption, revenge, served cold, and a duke who learned to love, smash that subscribe button and hit the notification bell because I have more incredible historical romance stories coming your way. Thanks for watching. And remember, sometimes the best thing that can happen is someone choosing someone else. Because it means the right person is still out there waiting.